Okay, welcome back to this playthrough of Beyond the Titanic by Scott Miller from 1986, 87. I still can't remember when. When we left off, the Titanic had just sunk, and we had put on a harness in the lifeboat after taking some objects from the kit before we were swallowed up by a giant whirlpool and sucked into a huge cavern in the ocean floor. So that's where we are now. We will be getting a guest appearance later from the titular ship, but for all intents and purposes, that part of this game, which is Titanic related, is now over. But yes, you have, I'm sure, deduced that that was only about, 5 screens of the game. So we're going to be playing quite a bit of it, which does not relate to the sinking of the Royal Mail steamer Titanic. So let's get the show on the road. You are standing in the middle of a huge cavern. From the western wall, a torrent gusher of water builds into a fast-flowing underground stream which heads to the east. The cave follows the stream to the east, leading to a dark area. At this part of the cavern, the walls appear to be as smooth as glass. Turn on the light. The flashlight is now on. East. Cave of Pinz. This cave is full of beautiful rock formations. Long columns of stalactites fill the cave from top to bottom. The stream looks shallow here. It might be possible to wade across to get to the north side. To the west you can still see the strange light coming from the huge cavern. The stream continues eastward, while a separate cave entrance leads to the southeast. So let's go north. Slowly you wade through the cold, knee-deep water. Ocean bottom. You are awed by what you see. You are standing directly underneath the ocean. The bottom, or ceiling from your viewpoint, is completely iced over, apparently from the cool draft that pervades this area. Right. So this is like a infinite walking area. It's really here to trap you so that you starve to death. But there's something to see, so we're going to see if we can find it. You walk around exploring the tremendous icy cave. So it will just keep coming up with this. A bat flies overhead. Oh, here we go. You are given a life-shocking jolt as you glimpse the image above you. It's the Titanic! Resting not more than 20 feet above you is the bottom hull of the once mighty ship. Dead bodies, fallen from the wreck, are scattered about the floor of the ice like cake decoration. The horror is too real, and you bow your head, unable to view the sight any more. A large fish stops overhead, examines you, and paddles away unimpressed. So let's go back. Again, we've gone in a circle. All right, so Cave of Pinz, southeast. Squeaky Cave. This is a cramped cave with a floor that feels like mud and smells like 2-month-old socks. On the wall in front of you are some strange chiseled markings. The only way out is to the northwest. Examine markings. The chiseled message on the cave wall reads, "Be wary, traveler, for finer adventurers have tried and died. A wall will block thy path, unless these words thy have, Nepo Igasap." And in case you didn't get this clever puzzle, it was passage open backwards. So we'll keep this in mind. Let's go back. Northwest. East. Stream bend. At this point, the stream makes a bend to the northeast. A slight rumbling sound can be heard further down the stream. The path to the west returns to the stalactite cave. A separate path leads to the southeast. Your stomach is beginning to growl. So you can see you do start starving to death. If you get stuck in that eternal walking space to the north, you will die of starvation. Southeast. Hex Cave. The passage opens up to form another wall. A small, misty cave. You notice something unusual about the eastern wall. A new passage breaks off to the northeast. To the west, you can still hear the sound of the rushing stream. A small opening in the cave wall heads southwest. So, northeast. Some of the stuff I'm doing isn't really necessary, but it's just fun to read the text. Sloppy Cave. You're in a large cave that is covered with a thick layer of mud. The further north you walk, the deeper you sink in. Past the mud to the north, you can see a clear area where a chasm cuts through, and even further you can see where a waterfall flows into the chasm's darkness. To the southwest, a big hole in the wall leads out. So we're going to come back to this room, but we'll be at the chasm instead of in the sloppy cave. So really? Okay, southwest. Okay, back in the hex cave. So we're going to open that door with those real complicated words. As you finish uttering the words, the hexagons within the wall begin to shudder. Seconds later, the entire wall seems to be shaking with a life of its own. The whole cave seems ready to collapse. Before your eyes, the hexagons begin transforming themselves into circles and, unable to fit together, they fall to the ground. A minute later, the remainder of the wall falls to the ground, each circle vanishing on impact. Soon there is nothing left but a new passage. We're not going to go that way. But we are going to eat our banana. Peel banana. Carefully managed to peel the overripe banana. I'm really impressed that they made you actually have to peel it. But yeah, they will tell you, do not eat this banana with a peel on it if you try to just eat it. Gulp. The banana didn't taste so good, but it sure did hit the spot. Tie rope to light. Drop. Oh. Ooh, dropped everything. You now hold no special possessions. Take rope. So we're gonna crawl, and we have to pass through a passage where we can't carry anything. You barely manage to fit through the crevice. You can feel the rope dragging behind you. It's much too dark to see anything. As you reel in the rope, it snags in many cracks. Finally, an object appears. It's a flashlight. Shallow cleft. This place is more a large crack than a cave. The crevice widens a little, revealing a sand-covered floor. The crack to the northeast leads back out. Barely visible under the sand is the end of a rusty metal rod. There is a flashlight here. The rope is attached to the flashlight. I really love that you say take all and it just takes a metal stake, so I always use it. Crawl northeast. You barely manage to fit through the crevice. You can feel the rope dragging behind you. It's much too dark to see anything. Hex cave. Alright, we already read this description. The main path leads to the west. There is a flashlight here. The rope is attached to the flashlight. There is a knife here. There is a banana peel here. So we're going to leave the knife and the peel. This game does have an inventory limit, so after a while you'll start running into very exciting inventory management issues. So we're going to leave everything except we're going to take the light. And then we're going to go west. Oh, there isn't a path in that direction. Huh. I think we're going east. Okay. Winding tunnel. You are at the turning point of a winding tunnel, mysteriously carved out of solid rock. The rays of your flashlight fade into blackness in either direction. The crumbled wall lies back to the west, and the tunnel heads to the northwest. For a brief moment, you could barely hear a low humming noise, like an engine. Chasm. So this is the other side of the cave, the sloppy cave where we were at earlier. This is the northern end of a gigantic mud-covered cave. To the south is a wide pit of mud oozing into a section of the chasm. The chasm crosses in front of you, just west of where you are standing. The ground here is much drier than the south. A waterfall flows from the west side of the chasm into a separate section to the northwest. You can scarcely hear a low humming sound coming from within the chasm, sounding like a small generator humming. So we're going to do a bunch of stuff in here. Untie rope. The rope is now untied. So put stake in ground. The metal stake is now sticking out of the ground. Suddenly, the ground shakes and shudders with irregular jolts, sending a new streak of fear crawling up your back. The tremor continues for about 30 seconds, subsides, and finally ends. It's supposed to be tremor, I think. But, tremors were actually a position that you could have in the engineering department of the Titanic. So there's a little factoid for you. throw light down. I hope I'm doing this right. Chasm. Tie rope to stake. About a second and a half later, you hear a dull thud for the light. The rope is firmly tied to the metal stake. Throw rope down chasm. The rope now dangles down into the dark chasm. Climb down rope. You manage to climb down to the end of the rope. It's much too dark to see anything. Let go. You leap from the rope into the dark void below, unsure of what lies below. A brief moment later, you collide with the ground. Several snapping noises catch your attention as severe stabs of pain penetrate both arms. Your possessions fly in all directions on impact. It's much too dark to see anything. You now hold no special possessions. Suddenly, the ground shakes and shudders with irregular jolts, sending a new streak of fear crawling up your back. The tremor continues for about 30 seconds, subsides, and finally ends. Alright, so now we have both of our arms are broken and we have nothing, but we were smart and we threw the flashlight down the hole. So take light. Flashlight taken. Turn on light. The flashlight is now on. So we're going to go east. Tiny opening. This is quite an unusual cave. The walls are scorched black, as if by great heat. You decide that this cave was not formed by the normal processes of nature. The path forks here, heading both northeast and southeast, while the chasm is back to the west. So, southeast. You notice a slightly repugnant smell as you enter the stairway. Etched stairs. You are at the middle point of a string of steps that curve to the northeast. The steps are etched out of solid rock. The passage leads up to the northwest. For a brief moment, you could barely hear a low humming noise, like an engine. Northeast. The smell is almost overwhelmingly nauseous as you enter the cave. Zoo. This area appears to be some sort of abandoned zoo, with metal cages crowding every corner. Most of the cages are littered with the remains of long-decayed creatures, many with very unusual skeleton structures. One cage, however, is open and has no remains in it. Behind you, to the southwest, is a stairway leading out of the rock. Examine cage. You discover a piece of blue fur. Suddenly, the ground shakes and shudders with a regular jolt, sending a new streak of fear crawling up your back. The tremor continues for about 30 seconds, subsides, and finally ends. Examine fur. The blue piece of fur looks like it was torn from a creature escaping a cage. Right, so we're going to stop it here. The cage sort of indicates that we're not alone, and we're going to make some more discoveries in the next episode. I hope you return for part 3 of Beyond the Titanic by Scott Miller. Thanks for watching. This is Guyup saying see ya.